Okay, before I begin, before I make, my whole spiel about what I just saw, first of all, I'd like to say that we have officially reached 80 subscribers on this channel, and we are currently growing on this channel. So if you are seeing this video for the first time, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when videos go live on this channel. But before we get into the big heavy stuff, I want to say thank you to everybody who's subscribing, and I want to say that I did not plan on making this video this week. I had a completely different video planned for my channel, but I said, you know what? I'm going to take the time to actually do a video about this because it just blew my mind, and I'm pretty sure it's going to blow yours too. So out of nowhere comes Summer Game Fest, which I had no idea what the heck that is. To me, it's just like, oh, they're probably gonna talk about little tiny games here and there, and it's nothing that's gonna be worth actually talking about. And boy, was I wrong, because this is probably some of the best announcements I've heard in a while. And based on what I'm seeing here, Summer Game Fest is what's coming to replace E3. And if that's the case, Summer Game Fest just won me over. So what am I going to be covering in this video? I'm going to just be covering, to me personally, what I think are the games that are not only just interesting games that I just found interesting during Summer Game Fest, but I'm also going to be covering the games that I'm like totally hyped for. Like, it's up here. It's off screen. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not here, it's here. It's like all the way up here. That's how much hype I have for the games that I'm going to talk about later in the video. But right now, I'm only going to talk about games that I've found kind of interesting, and it's a lot of them, and just bear with me because we're going to be talking about all of them. This isn't in any particular order, but let's start off with the games that I'm just interested in. And the first one that I want to talk about is Breathe Edge 2. Now, based on what I'm seeing, it's going to be a space game. It's going to be, really like, it feels like a Borderlands game, to be honest with you. It's got a little bit of the cell shading and everything. It takes place in space, but it's going to be kind of a space adventure, and it seems very, very interesting to me, and definitely a game that I might be checking out. Ferocious is a game basically that feels like a little bit like Far Cry, but it also has dinosaurs in them, and it's a first-person shooter, so I am very interested in seeing it. Plus, I saw the detailing, the graphics in this game look bonkers good, and I highly, highly, highly suggest that you go out and actually check out the trailers for this game, or just watch my videos, because you're probably seeing that right now on your screen, and the details look amazing. The Invincible is a game that I was looking at. It's also a space adventure, but it's very narrative driven, meaning you're going to be playing this game and you're also going to be talking about, different aspects of not only reality, but what we understand as reality in this game. I see that it's got a lot of mystery. It's a bit of a sci-fi mystery as well. And I feel like it's going to be more of like a cinematic adventure in first person, which I feel like it's kind of like Firewatch. If you've ever played Firewatch, it's kind of like Firewatch. I need to go back and play that game. But it's a very narrative-driven FPS game that I'm really excited about, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get excited when you see the footage that you're seeing right now. So now we're moving on to Skull and Bones. Now, Skull and Bones was announced, man, it feels like 100 years ago at this point, because they announced that game, I think it was in like 2017, 2018 or something, and only now are we actually getting a release date for it. So based on what I'm seeing, Skull and Bones is going to kind of be a Sea of Thieves, except more realistic. That's based on what I'm seeing in the trailer, and if it kind of mixes in aspects of Assassin's Creed, I'm pretty sure it's going to win me over. I just don't want it to be a just multiplayer only experience. I want it to be something that's single player with maybe an option to add in multiplayer afterwards, like a co-op or something, but I really would like it to be very single player focused, because that's something that I enjoy doing, is just sitting down and playing a game and not having to worry about whether or not my internet is connected, because man, am I irritated when that happens in a game, that I have to be connected to the internet in order to play a game. Unless if you're playing a game, like Rocket League, which I love. But other than that, I don't want to be, tethered to the internet to play a game. So let's just hope that Skull and Bones is not one of those games. Baldur's Gate 3. Now, it's basically The Witcher, but in the Dungeons and Dragons universe, based on what I'm seeing here. The graphics and story kind of look like something out of The Witcher. And if that's the case, I'm really interested in seeing this game, and I really hope that it doesn't, fail me in a way. But if it does, I'm going to be very, very upset, because I really want to play an RPG in that kind of style. And by the way, I have to go back and play The Witcher 3, because that is a really good game, and this just reminded me that I have to go back and play that game. Fable. Yeah, Fable just returned, out of the dead or something, but Fable is back, and I know that they did announce this game, I believe maybe 2 years ago. They said hey, we're gonna be, revisiting the world of Fable, except we're bringing it into the modern era in a way, and we finally get a teaser and a trailer for Fable. And what's funny is that I've never owned Xbox, but I feel like it's a nostalgic game. Fable seems like that game that's very nostalgic to people, because it kind of started off Xbox in a way. I've always associated Fable with Xbox and kind of its origins. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they bring to the table now with the new Fable that has this completely different story associated with it, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it, because it's looking really, 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 really cool. Clockwork Revolution. I don't think I need to say anything about this game other than just look at the images and just tell me what you think. Yeah, I think you probably already got what I'm getting at here. If you have ever played BioShock Infinite, you know that this is the closest thing to a BioShock Infinite clone that I've ever seen. I mean, we're talking details, story-wise, very similar to BioShock Infinite. We're talking about the general look and feel of the game. I mean, honestly, I'm not even the one who had to say it. The entirety of the internet literally said the same thing, that this is the closest thing to a BioShock Infinite clone. And I don't feel really good saying that a game is a clone of another one without having played it. So I'm going to wait until it comes out and maybe check it out. I don't know if it's going to have a demo, but I'm going to play that and see if it actually has that same feel as BioShock Infinite in gameplay. And if it does, then yeah, I'm sorry. These guys kind of slept when BioShock Infinite was popular, and now they're trying to bring that world and that feel back into this world. And honestly, till this day, BioShock Infinite is still a beautiful game. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I really enjoyed playing BioShock Infinite, but to see that kind of copied again, it's kind of weird. But you know what? Let's wait till it comes out, and then we'll make our judgment when it does. So this isn't really a game, but I need to talk about Cyberpunk 2077's Phantom Liberty update DLC that is going to expand the game a little bit longer. But what I am really excited about this entire update is the fact that Idris Elba is going to be in the game. Idris Elba is coming to Cyberpunk, and man, just having the duality of having, Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba in the game is pretty freaking cool. And I mean, you can just look at the images right now and you can tell that Idris Elba looks fantastic in Cyberpunk 2077. So I'm definitely excited for this DLC and what it will expand on specifically in the Cyberpunk universe. Cities Skylines 2. While I did play a little bit of Cities Skylines on PC, I do think that it's not one of those games that I spend a whole lot of time playing, but generally when I see graphics the way that they were showing for the new Cities Skylines 2, it kind of piqued my interest. So I'm definitely going to be taking a look at Cities Skylines 2 and all these like beautiful cityscapes that they have going on, and building cities and actually going down and in detail seeing each individual piece of cities come together. I'm really excited to actually try that game out. Might not play it for a long time, but I'm excited to check it out. Forza Motorsport. Yes, Forza is actually coming out with a new game, like they technically do every year or every other year. I remember that they skipped a year. I believe it was like a year or two ago. They skipped a year so that they could actually work on this game. So it's a really interesting thing that they had to skip a year just to actually do this game. Maybe it had to do with COVID. Maybe it had to do, with all the problems that the pandemic brought, or they didn't have enough staff on hand to actually do this. But dude, this game looks pretty beautiful. I mean, just the level of detail that cars are getting into now, and these games are like literally every other car game that comes out, it's like they're trying to level up little by little by little by little, to the point where you're going to be playing a game and you can't barely tell if it's reality or a game. So I'm really interested in this, and I know I've been saying really interested while pinching my chin, but I'm honestly really interested in seeing these games, specifically Forza, because I am definitely a racing game person, and this is definitely the game that I'm going to be checking out. And speaking of simulators, Flight Simulator 2024 is coming out very soon, and I saw that they're going to be adding new missions into the game. I mean, you're going to have rescue missions on mountains, you're going to have, incredible flying missions to like put out fires. You can actually fly a crop duster now. I mean, it looks fantastic. Specifically graphics wise, it looks beautiful. I don't know if I would play this on a console though. It just feels more in line with something like a PC game rather than a console game. But I definitely want to see Flight Simulator, because I've played around with Flight Simulator, specifically back in the day. I'm talking about like back in like 2003, 2004. I've played around with Flight Simulator, but I've never really like dove deep into aviation. I understand a little bit about aviation, mainly through my dad, but like it's really interesting to see that they're adding missions to Flight Simulator, even though that in the older games they did kind of have missions, but they were never this level of detail. And there's one specific shot in the trailer that I got really excited about, and that is I think it's for meteorology, that you can actually fly a plane really close to a tornado. And when I saw that, I was like, ooh, yeah, I'm excited. I want to see that. That is definitely something I want to do. I want to fly really close to a tornado. Not in real life though, but in the game, definitely. Pacific Drive. Now, Pacific Drive kind of came out of nowhere. It looks to me like an indie game, and if it is, not a real problem, but this game kind of feels different to me, which is really good. When a game feels different, it means that it's going to bring something new to the table. And Pacific Drive looks like it is going to bring something new to the table, because by the looks of it, it's an apocalyptic game that takes place while you're driving. So you're basically living off of your car in this apocalypse, and you kind of like have to like arrange your car in a way so that you can survive longer in this world. And you can't damage your car. You have to look at for fuel and all these different little pieces so that your car can continue to run while you're trying to get to the end game. And that just looks like a really cool concept that I definitely didn't expect to come out of nowhere. So really cool concept. So yeah, Specific Drive I'm really excited about, and let me tell you, this game deserves to be talked about more, especially now that it just released its trailer. The Crew Motorfest. Now, I have to be honest, I'm not really well versed in the Crew games. I know that the Crew and the Crew 2 were really popular games when they came out. They generated a lot of income for Xbox and other consoles, and I really find it funny that they're going now in a direction that kind of feels like Forza Horizons. And, the Crew 2 kind of had this, morphing car kind of thing. And in this game, I don't see that happening. It's funny because I didn't see, a single plane. I didn't see a single boat. All I saw was car racing, which is kind of, back to its roots. It's going back to its roots in a way, while the Crew 2 kind of decided to, do this morphing car thing, which kind of reminds me of the new Lego 2K Drive game, which, if you weren't aware of, there's a Lego racing game from 2K, and it feels just like the Crew 2. So if you don't believe me, go on the internet and check it out, because it does feel like the Crew 2. But yeah, this Crew game, the Crew Motorfest, is literally taking them to Hawaii, which is different for the series because originally the Crew takes place in the map of the United States. And now it's not taking place in the United States, it's taking place in Hawaii. Yes, it's the United States, just on the island of Oahu, which is really cool because I have never really thought of, Hawaii being the racing place, the place for racing. But they made it work somehow, and I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna be a really cool experience, and it's got these new styles of racing, and it's got this sort of AR look to it. So yeah, really cool. The Crew Motorfest is gonna be pretty freaking awesome, and I'll probably be checking it out when it comes out. And finally, on my list of kind of interested games that I'm interested in, these are games that I'm kind of interested in, really interested in, but not hyped for. Last one is AC Nexus, Assassin's Creed Nexus, which is nothing more than a VR experience that you can actually do with Assassin's Creed, which when I saw that concept, I was like, they could have done this a few years ago, right? I'm not the crazy one here that they could have just taken this concept and put it into reality maybe 3-4 years ago, because that would be really fun. I mean, let's just think about how many times people have thought about I wish I could actually experience the Animus in a way. And now it seems like Ubisoft actually went ahead and said, you know what? Let's do that. Let's put people in the Animus in a way. And it's coming out for MetaQuest, which is really cool. And this whole idea of being able to actually experience the assassin part of Assassin's Creed is very, very, very intriguing and very cool. I don't own a MetaQuest, but I'm gonna probably save up for one because this experience looks pretty interesting and definitely should be put on my list to buy later. All right, and now we are getting into the games that I am absolutely hyped for. It's games that I'm really interested in. They're right here. They're right here within my eyesight. They're okay, interesting, but really cool, very, very, very interesting, intriguing. Those are all things that are just like right here in my face. Then there are games that I'm really hyped for, which are like not here, but like up here. Like it's beyond the capabilities of the screen. That's how hyped I am for these coming games, and I'm starting with Avowed. So when I saw this game, the trailer started playing, and I was like, okay, this seems okay. This doesn't seem like the type of game I'd be into, right? And then the logo for Obsidian popped up, and then I was like, okay, now you got my attention, because Obsidian recently, and they're probably still working on the sequel to it, but The Outer Worlds came out very recently, and it's a game that, if you don't know, is an RPG very similar to like Fallout or Skyrim, but it takes place in space, and it's got this whole, very RPG-esque feel to it. They follow sort of like the Bethesda-esque world building, and what I find really interesting is that now they revealed that they're working on this Avowed game, which is basically an RPG that feels like it's in a different world. And by that I mean it's that a world that's a little bit more funny, it's a bit more wacky. Obsidian isn't very much in the serious kind of game building, so much so that when they built, Fallout New Vegas, even that game had a sort of funny kind of feel to it. And till this day, a lot of people that I know would, hands down say that it's probably one of the best Fallout games that they've ever played, even more so in some cases than Fallout 4. Fallout 4, I have a soft spot for Fallout 4. But nonetheless, putting all of that aside, Obsidian is making Avowed, which I had no idea what the heck this was. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, now I'm really hyped for this, because it's got the RPG elements that I really love. And I am freaking hyped for this, because it looks like a small scale game, but I feel like it's so much more that they can do, because they're such good developers that they can actually make even small worlds feel like really large worlds. And if they are capable of making that happen for Avowed, sign me up, because this game I am pumped to play. The next game that I'm actually very, 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 very pumped to play is Assassin's Creed Jade. Now, you might be asking yourself, Marcelo, what are you talking about, dude? Like, isn't Mirage the game? Well, before we get to Mirage, Jade is another Assassin's Creed game that piqued my interest from here when they said what they were doing to here when I saw the trailer. So when they said that they were making Assassin's Creed Jade, they were like, okay, we're doing a, Assassin's Creed game in China, and, it's sort of like an Assassin's Creed game that's, really cool and stuff, and we want to show you a trailer to it. And then I saw the trailer. And then, like, my interest went, like, it started here, and then I saw the trailer, and I was like, okay. Oh, wait. Oh, wow. Holy cow. What? How are they doing that? And yeah, that's where we got with Assassin's Creed Jade. And even more so, the reason why I'm so pumped for it comes down to the fact that this is a free-to-play Assassin's Creed game that is going to, get this, mobile. It is a free-to-play, open-world, mobile game that they are building, and it looks just like all the other Assassin's Creed games. How is that possible? A free-to-play Assassin's Creed game? Really? Like, it looks just like the Assassin's Creed games. Like, I'm still baffled. Like, my brain is still, like, scrambling, just, like, trying to understand how they're gonna pull that off. And it's an open world. I mean, as you're seeing in the trailer, it's an open world game that they're pulling off with. And man, imagine just like going somewhere and like, okay, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna play some Assassin's Creed, and you just pull out your phone and you start playing Assassin's Creed on your phone. Like, dude, that's perfect. And I know what you're probably saying. Hey, they released an Assassin's Creed game not too long ago. I mean, let's say like maybe a little over 10 years ago, but they did release an Assassin's Creed game on mobile. I think it was on iPad and iPod, Touch and iPhone, and that's like where it was. But it was nothing even close that compares to this. So, man, like, it shocked me. Yeah, I'm really, really pumped for Assassin's Creed Jade. And they nailed it. And on the topic now of Assassin's Creed, let's move into Assassin's Creed Mirage. Okay, here's what I think. This has the potential to be the greatest Assassin's Creed game of all time, which is wild, because most people would be, would probably say that's crazy, right? Like, how could this be the greatest Assassin's Creed game of all time, and it hasn't even released yet? So I'm not jumping to too many conclusions. I'm saying that there is a great possibility that this could be the greatest Assassin's Creed game of all time, because it brings in aspects of the old Assassin's Creed games. It gives in maybe contracts. It builds on top of concepts that were in previous games. Something that I missed from like all the way back in Assassin's Creed Revelations, which, it's probably one of my favorites of the, Ezio trilogy, is the fact that you could actually zip line over the city. Like, there were moments where you had to run away from, enemies, and there were these like lines, and you would happen to have in your hidden blade a hidden hook. So you could like throw the hidden hook in and actually zip line across the city. You don't have the zip line, hidden hook aspect to it, but you can zip line across the city now. You can just grab onto the rope and go all the way down. That is a concept and a thing that I've been wanting in the game for a while now. I don't think that they had that in... Did they have that in Assassin's Creed Odyssey? I don't think they had that in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or even in Valhalla that I know of. But furthermore, I think this game has, the stealth aspect, which they're bringing back from the original game. They're bringing back true assassins, which is something that the previous games haven't given us in a weird way. Assassin's Creed Origins kind of gave us a story, of Bayek, and then you have Odyssey, which gives you Cassandra, and then you have Valhalla, which gives you Avior. These three people, in reality, aren't technically assassins. I mean, you can give them, the cloak, you can give them, the whole, hidden blade aspect. I mean, I'm pretty sure Cassandra didn't even have a hidden blade. I mean, they didn't have their finger chopped off. So there was like little aspects here and there that didn't align with Assassin's Creed. But this game, not only is the story looking like it's going to actually follow through with traditional Assassin's Creed games, it's actually adding in aspects of Assassin's Creed, of the originals, including a filter mode. Go figure. Like, you can actually put a filter on on the actual game to make it look like the original. I mean, all these little aspects, these little details that are just adding up and up and up to make probably one of the greatest games of all time. And what I do like, and I'm very happy about, is that they have maintained the open world aspect, meaning you see a point on the map and you want to travel to that point, you can hop on your horse, or if you've played AC Origins, your camel, and actually go all the way to where you want to go, which I think is just such a cool thing. in Assassin's Creed, especially in the newer Assassin's Creed games, that they allow you to do that. And I'm so excited for Assassin's Creed Mirage, and I just can't wait to get my hands on it. So now we're moving on to, the top 3 most exciting games of Summer Game Fest. And in the number 3 spot, even though it is my favorite movie of all time, and I'll tell this to anybody, and even though the second movie is on par with the first one, in my opinion, this movie is finally getting a game in which it deserves, and that is Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, which most people would say is like, it's basically, based on gameplay, it's basically Far Cry, but with Avatar. And as I was watching the trailer and the gameplay kind of aspect to it, it kind of brings in a lot of aspects of Far Cry into Avatar. And, I've been very pumped for this game since like maybe 2 or 3 years ago when it was first announced, and they were like, hey, we're actually working on an Avatar game, which I was like, curious. And then when I saw the trailer to it, I was like, okay, now I'm 100% sold. You've gotten me. Okay, just sign me up. I want to know what this game has to offer. And now seeing the gameplay, I can definitively say that they're literally porting Avatar into a Far Cry world, and I think it works really well to the point of like me fully supporting that arc that they're trying to build. I know that they're gonna use kind of the periods in between the movies. I know that it happens in between the first and second movie, which is very, 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 very cool, in my opinion, to see that it happens in between those two. And it's going to take place like 15 years after the events of the first movie, in a way. Like, at the end of that movie, they're going to have like 15 years later, you're going to wake up from cryo sleep, and you're going to be exploring this completely new world. You're going to be crafting. You're going to be having this like completely beautiful adventure, this amazingly open world. And, just to know deep down that James Cameron has his hands on this project just allows me to sleep really well at night, because I am very, very, very excited to see what they can pull off, especially from my personal favorite game, I should say movie, but my favorite movie of all time, and how they can port that feeling, that incredible emotion that Avatar can actually convey on the big screen, how they can actually transfer that into a game. I'm very curious and very open, and I just really, really, really hope they don't mess up, because I just love Avatar. I really do. It's a beautiful story, and I just want that beauty aspect and that beautiful story of family, of protecting nature, of protecting one another, to be like the core foundation of this game. And if they can pull that off, I'm gonna absolutely love this game forever. So let's go for it. My hype level, like I said, is not here. It's here for this game, and I just want to see this game succeed really, really, really well. And man, I just can't wait till it comes out. I just can't, because this is going to be amazing. At the number 2 spot, also one of my favorite movies, and definitely based in logic, is amongst one of my favorite properties ever. But we are getting Star Wars Outlaws, which, to me, 3 years ago, Ubisoft said, yeah, we're working on a Star Wars game, an open world Star Wars game. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, they're probably gonna, reveal this game, maybe 7 years in the future. They're gonna pull a CD Projekt Red like they did with Cyberpunk. They, showed it in 2013, and only in 2021 did they actually, make any effort to actually show us something. But no, that didn't happen. They actually mentioned it, I think it was maybe 2 years ago. Hey, we're working on a Star Wars game, and we will be talking about more next year. And then the year after, they said, yeah, we have some really cool things that we're working on, especially the Star Wars game. We don't have any full footage. So I was like, okay, when are they going to show us footage for it? And this year at Summer Game Fest, they finally did it. They finally pulled it off. They're showing footage of Avatar, and then right after, showing Star Wars. Needless to say, I was really shocked. Are they really doing this? Are they really gonna pull off the impossible, which is to make an open world game in the Star Wars universe and make it feel incredible? I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, this trailer looks mind-blowing. Okay, I'm watching this trailer, I'm like, I'm hyped, this is amazing, oh my god, what are we gonna see? What are we gonna see? What is it? What is this, a practical joke? Are you tooling with us? Is Ashton Kutcher just gonna pop up out of nowhere and be like, oh, you got punked? No, not even in the slightest. It was real. That trailer was amazing, and then I was like, really? Are we only getting a trailer for this game? Because I really wanted to see a little bit more. And luckily enough, the next day, the following day, is when Ubisoft did their Ubisoft Forward, and I finally got to see some gameplay of the game through that, and I was like, oh my god, they gave us 10 minutes of gameplay for this game. Oh, and it looks like Watch Dogs meets a little bit of Assassin's Creed, a little bit of Grand Theft Auto maybe? I mean, they are bringing a sort of Han Solo-esque feel to the game. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some cameos in there. We know for a fact that Han Solo will not be showing up in this game, and they made it abundantly clear that he's not showing up because it takes place in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which is regarded amongst huge Star Wars fans as easily one of the best times in Star Wars. A lot of fans consider it to be one of the greatest moments in Star Wars is in that era. A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, the Empire having, Vader. Vader is the key here. A lot of people like Vader, mainly because of Anakin Skywalker, but nonetheless, people really like Vader, and I think that was probably part of the reason why they got this era, because they know that it's going to attract not only new fans of Star Wars to this game, but it's going to attract people who are fans of, the old era of Star Wars. And the gameplay looks pretty awesome, in my opinion. I mean, I'm looking at, these vast details that they have, this living world. They have all these characters around. You can see droids, you can see spaceships. I mean, there's TIE fighters. I mean, just the fact that you can pilot your own ship into space and have space battles. Pretty good. Pretty dang good, in my opinion. Oh, man. I could probably go on for hours talking about this, but I think that I have to give you guys the final game of this list, which should be no surprise to anybody who is watching this video what the final game I'm talking about is. So what is this game that I'm talking about? And you already know the game I'm talking about at the number 1 spot. And it's probably going to be considered coming, after it comes out, and maybe, 3 years from now, when we look back, we are going to look at all the different games that came out. Star Wars Outlaws. We're going to see, Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora. We're going to see Assassin's Creed Mirage. We're going to look at all these games that were very deeply talked about, and none of them will even sit at the feet of what this one game is. And that game is Starfield. Starfield will probably be regarded in history, the same way that a game like Skyrim was. Skyrim, back in 2011. It's been 12 years now, which is wild, but it was regarded as one of the greatest RPGs ever created. And I'm pretty sure that Starfield is about to come in and actually take that spot, because Starfield has done something to me personally, and that is easily show me that it has taken concepts of everything that Bethesda does beautifully well. I mean, I can't really remember when the studio, aka Bethesda, ever actually failed at making a game. I mean, they probably had maybe 1 or 2 games that failed, that weren't really in their favor, but I can't really remember a game that Bethesda actually failed at making. And I'm pretty sure that, this whole time that it took to make Starfield, which will be not only considered one of the best RPGs ever made, it'll probably be considered one of the longest RPGs ever made, period. There is no comparison to any other RPG. You can't call this Skyrim in space. You just can't. You can't. Skyrim compared to this game is a map this big. And I'm not joking. I'm talking about a tiny little fragment. That's what it is. This is what Skyrim is compared to what we are seeing from Starfield. They have announced that this game is going to have 1,000 planets. Just wrap your head around that. 1,000 planets. Now, sure, we can stop the video right now and say, "Oh, Marcelo, come on. Are you really gonna believe them? Are you gonna believe Bethesda?" I mean, we've seen this before, right? With No Man's Sky, we've seen, this game studio go forward, show us incredible footage of a game at its launch, mind you, at its launch, and say, "Look at this beautiful landscape. You can visit these incredible worlds. You can, start up your own, bases in space. And if you want to fast travel to them, you can. And it's got all these incredible pieces and beautiful, natural landscapes." And then when it came out, it was considered absolute garbage, and people really got pissed off. Now, mind you, that it took maybe a year for, No Man's Sky to be considered one of the greatest space exploration games of all time, because at launch it was complete garbage, but then over time they started adding new things to the game over and over and over again, to the point where now It's playable on Nintendo Switch. It's probably one of the most popular space exploration games out there, and it completely changed people's perspective on the game since it launched. So now we have this game coming out, Starfield, which borrows a lot of aspects. I mean, trust me, as you're watching the trailer, you're going to be like, okay, that looks like No Man's Sky. That looks like No Man's Sky. Oh, look, that looks like No Man's Sky. You're going to have a lot of those moments while you're watching this trailer. But that's not what it actually sets it aside. This is the first time ever that I've seen a game studio, or should I say a game hardware maker, make a separate, completely separate direct just for the game. And I think personally it's deservingly so, because for how massive this game is going to be, you're going to need to have one direct, one specific section just dedicated to this one game. And I think that Xbox and Microsoft was really, really on point when they did this. Now, this direct is 45 minutes long, which you might think, oh my god, this is too long. But honestly, those 45 minutes are perfect to know exactly what is going down in the universe of Starfield, because you need to see these details be played out. How does the story play out? What does it include? How does the game play? How do skills work? Like, all these little aspects are answered in this direct. And if you want my recommendation, I highly, highly, highly suggest that you go out and you watch that direct, because it is a very good deep dive into all the little aspects that you might want to know about Starfield. And I'm pretty sure that I know more about Starfield now than I did maybe 6 months ago or a year ago, when they actually showed a trailer of it and then they had to delay the game. But ultimately it's understandable, considering that this is a massive game that will have endless and endless hours of just building and creating and forging characters that you want to have around you, and just the diverse world that you're stepping into is just mind-blowingly good. And I also want to take this opportunity to talk about the video that I posted not too long ago on my channel that has been getting a lot of views, talking about why I think Starfield is about to change, gaming as a whole. It's going to change RPGs as we know it. And I highly recommend you actually go out and actually see this video right after this one. So finish this video and then go watch it, because you want to know why I think it's going to change RPGs forever. And I still, after this direct, I still stand by that this is going to be phenomenal. One of the best games. I'll probably put it on an echelon above anything else that I've ever played when it comes out. So yeah, I'm extremely hyped for Starfield, and will be hyped till November or September. I'll put the release date on the screen. So yeah, that's when it comes out. And man, am I excited. Am I excited for Starfield. Woo. I said 300 hours in my other video. This is looking more like 3,000 hours to be more precise. So this is the end of this video. Now, before we finish this video off, I want to thank every single one of you who actually watched these videos, because it means the world to me to actually make these videos for you. We are currently at 80 subscribers on this channel, and I want to see that number go up. So hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when videos go live on this channel. And I also want to say that I want to know from you, what do you think? What are the games you're hyped for? You're probably more hyped about other games than I am. So I want to know from you what games you're hyped about. And once you do want to tell me, go down in the comments and tell me, because I want to have that discussion with you. And thank you guys so much for watching this extra long video. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.